Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Welcome, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. So last week after my show, a woman who's actually known me since childhood, we used to dance folklore together, listened to my show for the very first time and said, "Ooh, I like how the guy on the commercial says your name." And I had to laugh. I was like, I know, because it's so hard to write my name properly for people to read it phonetically. So thank you, Mr. Commercial. I like your version of my name too. It's kind of sexy. So woohoo to that. And so not that has anything to do with this topic, but I just thought it was hilarious because now I listen to him say it in a totally different way from the perspective of people who have known me for so long. I think it's just funny. They're like, "Ooh, Milica." I'm like, yeah, it's not really how he said, but I like how he says it. So it's great. So for those of you who are joining me live right now, you just happened upon my show on the Inspired Choices Network app, maybe on your phone, you're driving around listening in. So cool. You are listening to The Pleasure Zone, where tonight we're going to talk about how to be present with your lover. I think that is a like, what? Moment for a lot of people. Like, what do you mean present with your lover? Isn't it all about what you want and all about just like daydreaming off and not really being present? Yeah, that's really what it's all about, right? So what a lot of common complaints that come through when it comes to relationship coaching is things like people are like, "Hey, I just want my lover to be more present with me. I would just like to be able to have sex and be able to clear my mind and not have my mind wandering off to things like laundry and other things I could be doing." Or even just knowing what your partner enjoys and being willing to deliver it. And then also one of the other big complaints for a lot of people is, "I don't want to be the one who always initiates." And some people are natural born leaders, so they tend to fall into the role of initiating. And sometimes switching that up can make things extra sexy. So being willing to share the initiation of things is super helpful in maintaining your relationship so it doesn't feel one-sided. And then also we're going to be looking at different things for foreplay, how we can explore different ways to have foreplay, because there's foreplay and then there's more play, and who doesn't want more play, right? It could actually be core play, which is from a book that is called She Comes First, which is a fabulous book written about, from a man's perspective, about the importance of her coming first. And kudos to him. And the one who wrote She Comes First, who I can't remember his name right now because it just came to my mind this second. But I've been listening to that on audio along with some other great books like The Art of Seduction lately. So you can listen to things while I'm working away in the background, or gardening in my garden and getting stung multiple times by fabulous insects, which I think were bees or wasps, because holy Hannah, my body is like, what is going on? What were you thinking? But my body also loves the garden. So as much as it is like, what was that all about? I got so thoroughly energized being able to have a little bit of time today to pull weeds like a wild person. So because only wild people actually pull weeds. The non-wild do not do that. So what we're going to talk about first is, how do you get yourself to actually be present with your lover? Like the complaint of, "My mind won't stop wandering." And for, it does happen with women who are willing to admit that, and probably it happens for men as well, but more women report that usually to their therapists or to their coaches. Why? Because more women go to therapists and coaches, because that's just the nature of our beast. Men are not really, it's not really something that is promoted for men all that much, for men to actually seek assistance even from other men or other women. And the ones who do are brave and few, and amazing for them that they choose it. And the ones who don't, there might be some value in it. So you might find that you learn a lot about yourself, and by doing that, you can actually create a greater relationship with your lover as well. So one of the things that a lot of the distractions for women come from their life, right? So if you're, having sex with your lover, and, you think about your kids or your kids' lunch, or, oh my God, what have we got to do for school? Oh my God, I can hear my kid breathing in the other room. All of these things, or maybe you've got like a project for work you've got to be taking care of. So one of the things that can be pretty important is to look at the things that are occupying your mind and look after some of them first. So if you do have a big project to finish, and your partner's like priority is sex right then, you can have the communication to say, I would love to have sex with you, and can we make it a bonus that if I finish this project, you will do me like there's no tomorrow? And your partner might be like motivated to assist you in getting your project done. In fact, they might actually contribute to that, because they know now and know that you are actually not avoiding sex, but you need to be able to get some things out of the way in order to have that. Things like laundry too. I'd love to have sex with you when the laundry's finished. Oh, you mean you'd like to help me do the laundry? Well, that's fantastic. What a happy day. I know that sounds manipulative, but it freaking works. So just saying, now there's things I'd love to do this with you. And this, I'd love to give you a blowjob. Absolutely love to give you a blowjob. But there's garbage to be taken out. And I'm just thinking about it, and I can't help myself. I'm smelling it. I'm thinking about it. I know the kid's diaper is in there. I'm feeling grossed out. I don't know what to do with myself. But if the garbage was just out, I'm sure I would feel sexier. I'm sure I would just feel. And then as the garbage is leaving the door, oh my God, honey, that's like the sexiest thing I've ever seen. I just want to give you a blowjob right now. Now there's love. So I think you guys are going to come up with some great ideas. What do you need to get done around your home, ladies and gentlemen, to have your partner feel more present with you? Because there is stuff to be done. There's always stuff to be done. And sometimes getting together and getting the work done together can make it faster. And then you can be present together. And so one partner isn't totally worn out and the other one is just nagging and annoying. So I'm the one who tends to nag for sex in our relationship. So I get a lot of the, yes, darling, when we can go do something in the cabin and get this cleaned up, then yes, we'll have time for sex. So I actually get the other end of the game, but I know the game works because I play the game all the time, and I'm willing to go do those things so that I can get me my sex. So I'm thinking there are people out there who are willing to play the game too, to get the sex they really want. I'm just saying, try it out. So how do you also take care of the things like the kids that might be nagging you? There's something in the world, and I know this might surprise you guys, babysitters. I know that's a big one, but if you actually get a babysitter to take care of your children while you have a date night to get it on, that can be super helpful. Now, it's kind of become hilarious and obvious in our home ever since COVID that if my daughter's staying at grandma's, then something's going down and don't be calling home. It's just become obvious. So we all know that. And even when it's like, Ziva, your friends want you to have a sleepover. How about that? And she's like, no. I'm like, your friends really want that. I think you should go do it. So yeah, find ways. Your kids have friends, they have family, they have babysitters, they have activities. There's always a way to find time to make it happen. So, and you might need to do some things to help yourself meditate and calm down. You might have had a super busy day and you've gone like lunatic crazy and did a million things, and then your adrenaline's really high and you can't really relax, but you're still like, so you want to calm down. And there's so many ways you can calm down. And you know me and hygiene. I love hygiene. And one of the great ways to calm down is to have a bath and get yourself clean, because there's an idea. Clean body is a beautiful thing. I'm really not about there's a certain funk I like. Like I like a working man's underarm smell. I like that. Well, I like my husband's working underarm smell. I kind of revel in it. And so not everybody's, I'll say that. I'm just gonna, because I don't want people sending me smelly shirts. Don't need it. But thanks for the offer, because I could already feel people gonna like wrap them up, pack them, and send them to me, but I don't need it. So thank you, though. There are some smells that I thoroughly enjoy, and the musk of a hard-working man is really sexy. So that's fun. And some other things that you might like to do to calm down, other than like the bath, you might want to go for a walk, just to get your body feeling more calm. It doesn't have to be an athletic walk. It's just like an enjoy the world, enjoy your body kind of walk. So movement of any kind can be helpful, any kind of relaxation, including things like meditating. Sometimes like a 5-minute meditation can just get your body to the point of relaxation where you can be present with your lover, not have your mind distracted. If you need some meditations, please connect with me. I've been doing meditations for 27 more years. I don't even know anymore. A lot of years I've been meditating, and I'd be happy to share my experience with you and share some meditations with you. So that's another thing you can do. And you might be somebody who likes to write, right? So you could journal it out. Journal out your frustrations, because that is also a really great source of being able to get stuff out of your head and out of your body and out somewhere. So sometimes talking it out with a friend, sometimes journaling it, sometimes masturbating can just help you relax. I literally think there are endless ways to have yourself relax. It's just a matter of starting to choose them rather than choosing the things that keep you pumped and hyped. Bodies actually need relaxation. It's part of a way to receive that you've achieved something. So if you've had a fulfilled day and you've done so many things and you've hit your targets everywhere, and say you're like, laundry was on the target, gardening was on the target, cooking dinner was on the target, working on 7 clients was the target. So that's my day today. And what else? Oh, I don't even know. There was a few other things I did. So when you've hit your targets at the end of the day, just chill for a few minutes and go, yeah, I hit my targets. It's a really good way of your body being able to know that you have had a success. And in order to have a success, you really want your body to be able to integrate that and have gratitude for what you've received. So some gratitude at the end of that too will help your body feel calmer. And there are so many ways that we forget our successes of the day. So then our brain just goes on overdrive and overdrive and overdrive and always trying to achieve. And we actually forget that we need to just stop, chill, breathe, and be able to move forward and create more the next day. So creating some achievable goals in a day so that you can sit back, relax, and chill is great. If you're somebody who is lacking motivation right now, create some achievable goals for yourself so that you can feel like you've accomplished something, so you feel better about yourself, because this is also a confidence thing. It helps you feel a sense of confidence in who you are as a person, and being confident carries out into the bedroom as well. And having a confident lover, there's like, man, that is a sexy, sexy thing. So being able to be a lover who's confident is also incredibly sexy, and being able to be calm and confident and present, so key to having a great relationship. And communication on every single way that you can possibly communicate. So if you are tired and you say to your lover, look, my body's really tired, and I would love to have, so my answer is I would always love to have sex, because my husband is like, is there ever a time when you don't want to have sex? I'm like, sweetheart, I will tell you, but it has not come up yet since I've met you ever. So yes, in the past it's come up, but not now. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I will tell you the day I don't want to. I said, like, even when you're angry, I'm like, especially when I'm angry, because that means I need sex. Like, this, the rules of the house. If I am angry, it means I'm tired, hungry, or horny. It's simple. Deal with it. Feed me, rest me, and F me up real good. Like, then we're happy. Life is good, my body's happy, and that's what's important, right? Happy me, happy everybody else. That's what my husband says. He's like, when you're sick, we're all down. When you're happy, we're all good. I'm like, then keep me happy. Keep it coming. Keep me coming. And that's what's important. We are at our first commercial, and I'm having a crazy day because I'm actually not live on video tonight, so I get to see my producer's reactions full on, which is like the most fun experience I've had on radio ever. I'm loving it. I wish I saw this every week. so I hope you guys stick around. Please do. We are talking about how to just become better, more present lovers on this show here on The Pleasure Zone on Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. So there was a question in our chat room today. So we're talking about, and I'll talk about that question in the chat room. We are talking about how to be better lovers through being more present. So how to be present with your lover. And as a side effect of that, being more present with your lover has you become a better lover and actually improves your relationship. So just before break, we were talking about different ways to actually be able to calm the chatter of your mind. And it is a thing that a lot of women come to therapists for, to relationship coaches, to sex and intimacy coaches, where they're just like, I can't get thoughts out of my head and I just want them to get it over with because I can't really connect. So calming down, meditation, those are all great. And I briefly threw in the word masturbation. Why? Because masturbation is amazing. And it also gets energy out of your head, out of your crotch, and it dissipates it. If you actually allow yourself to masturbate till climax, you can dissipate a lot of energy that's built up. I had a teacher back in the day. She was, at the time, she was my Reiki therapist, but I also went to her for meditation. And she would always say, if you got a headache, masturbate, give yourself an orgasm. She was right on the money. And it does. It moves the energy super fast. And I've always been, ever since I heard that, I'm like, got a headache, gonna masturbate. That's what I'm gonna do. And if that doesn't do it, then something else is going on. But for the most part, that'll do her. So the question before break that came up in the chat room was, does acknowledging our success create greater connections? So acknowledging anything like our successes, anything about our successes can create greater anything. It can create greater success. It can create greater, greater connections to people, greater connections to what you're creating, a sense of strengthening what you're creating. So acknowledge your successes as often as possible. And I know that a lot of people have a thing where they can't seem to follow through. They might have a lot of ideas, but then they just don't follow through. So, and I've heard this from many, many people who are great coaches, and they're always like, look at something small first so that you can look at it and go, I did that. And then sometimes it just grows from there. So it's kind of sometimes looking at it from a micro perspective. Like if you have dishes in the sink, then your target is just clean the dishes. And then you might find through that process that as you're doing that, you're like, oh, now I feel inspired to do this little corner of my counter. And you're like, oh, now that that's done, I feel inspired to do more. But until you start, the kitchen might look daunting to you, but until you start, you don't realize how much ease you can have with that. And then acknowledge your success as you go through it. So you can, do it all at the end of the day if you like, but you can do it as each task is getting accomplished as well. And so why do we say this? Because a lot of times people's minds are so full of chatter that they can't calm down enough to actually be present with their partner. And they might even be like, I did this and I did this and I did this today. And that will also keep their minds going because they might want to share it with somebody, but share it with yourself too if you don't have anybody to share it with. Like, woohoo, I accomplished this today. It is nice to have cheerleaders in your life. So if you do have friends that you can like brag to, that's always great too. It helps you feel connected to what you're creating as well. Like, woohoo, I created this today. And then you feel all happy about it. So the next thing on my list was being able to be with your partner. So being able to deliver what your partner would actually really enjoy. A lot of times there's complaints or women will say, well, my husband doesn't cuddle and he doesn't do the warm and fuzzy. And that is very stereotypical. We'll just say that because there are a lot of men who are actually very warm and cuddly. Or I just happen to know a lot of men who are very warm and cuddly. Or I just happen to know a lot of men who want to be warm and cuddly with me. I'm not sure. No, I'm kidding. I just actually know a lot of men who I would say are very warm and cuddly. Like I would say that one of my brother-in-laws is very warm and cuddly. My husband's warm and cuddly. My brother is warm and cuddly. And my grandpa was especially warm and cuddly, even just thinking about him, even though he passed away a few years ago. Such a cuddler. Oh my God, that man was so freaking cute. And every time I would see him, I could just snuggle, cuddle him. And he was so adorable. So that idea that a man couldn't be warm and fuzzy and cuddly is so not true. It's just a choice. And it might not be their love language either. So that's something to consider, that if touch is just not your thing, then being warm and fuzzy and cuddly might not be the easiest thing for you. If that is something though that your partner requires and it has your relationship work better, consider different ways that you can bring that to the table. Even if it's just holding your lover's hand, that can sometimes just be enough. It doesn't have to be overt at times. Sometimes the little things are just as important as the big things, but it's being willing to take initiative on them and not have to be reminded all the time, because there's really nothing less sexy than having to remind somebody about what you like or what you require. There was a saying I saw on Facebook last week, I think it was, but it was from a year ago as well. So somebody that I follow on Facebook posted, it's like, if you ask a man to do something, you don't have to remind him every 6 years. And it is kind of like, Yeah, you don't really want to have to, but there is usually this feeling of having to remind. That also applies to women. Lots of women need reminders too. So when it comes to the idea of, well, I'm a woman, I should be this, and I'm a man, I should be this, I encourage you to drop all of those notions that you were raised with that are just a pile of hooey, and check what's true for you, because sometimes, you might actually be the warm and fuzzy, but your family was not warm and fuzzy, so you've never experienced it, so you don't actually know what it's like. And if you don't know what it's like, how are you going to gift it? So that comes into experimentation, testing things out little by little. And how do you figure that out? I know this is going to be alarming, but you ask your lover. I know it's outrageous. You can literally ask them, so, is there anything I can be and do for you today? Would you like a hug? Would you like a blah, blah, blah? And sometimes telling your lover what you require, like, I don't know, today I just saw my body really required a hug. So off I went to my husband, who was all sweaty, sexy from laying some cement blocks, and he has like a trowel in his hand, and man, that was good. And I was like, oh, I could really like use a hug right now. And he was like, okay. And he was all like, then he started flexing, which was even more hilarious. And then he was like doing this stance, like he's such a funny flirt. Anyway, he was getting me all worked up, and I had to walk away because there was people there assisting, doing some work. And I was like, oh my God, you're messing with me, man. You got a trowel of cement in your hand, you're flexing your muscles, you're all sweaty, sexy. Oh man, that's good times. I'm gonna have some time by myself after this show to think about that. So that was delicious. And if you know what your partner likes, like I love that stuff, then just give it to them. Took him no effort to pull that off. And even as I'm thinking about it, I'm getting quite sweaty, sexy right now thinking about it. So, woo, good times. And communication on every level. So maybe your partner would just like a quickie, and maybe your partner would like to have some whining and dining and romancing. Become aware of it. Like, they shouldn't have to tell you 35,000 times what they like. If a woman tells you that she wants you to take her to dinner and could use some time of just like cuddling and respect, is that going to be so hard? No, just give it to her. And if a woman is like, I'd like some space, give it to her. And if a man is like, I'd just like a blowjob, sometimes just give it to them, because you know what? It's not going to be that much effort. And it can just be a nice gift to, like, somebody's asking for something. Is it going to kill you to give it? If it's going to kill you, don't give it. But if it's not going to kill you, consider that it might actually create greater in your relationship. And it could be super easy, like giving the hug in the middle of the day for no particular reason. Wasn't going to kill my husband, so he could do it, right? And if it did, like if he was like standing on a ladder and I was insisting that I was climbing up the other side of the ladder for a hug and we were both going to fall and smash our heads, yeah, that's not smart, but I'm not that stupid, so I'm not going to ask for that. So be smart. If it's not going to harm you, ask for it. And here's a comment in the chat room that says, when I ask for what I want, it has me be more present with my lover for my ask. Oh yeah. Communicating it really, it not only has you be present with it, it has you realize when you say it, it's like, wow, that's actually what I desire. And then when you get it, it's a success. Right? So, woohoo, I got what I asked for. Mark that down, success. And sit back, receive it, and like give yourself, a few minutes to just go like, yeah, I just got that. You can do that with an orgasm too. Just, some people just fall asleep, but you could lie back and revel in and be like, yeah, I just got that. That was cool. That was good. So reveling in the success is great, and being willing to ask and then be successful in the ask, but also being willing to ask and have your partner say no, maybe later. No, not right now. I've got laundry to do, but I would love to have sex with you, right? So being willing to get the postponement until it's more plausible and there's more time available, that all can play out really well. So what does your partner like? You don't have to be psychic. You just have to communicate. You probably already are psychic too if you're feeling a little frustrated in your relationship, because you could be picking up on their frustration or all the frustrations of many lovers in the world who are like, we just want some time alone because we have children in the house everywhere, or like in-laws or whatever, and everybody's living together. So yeah, you might just want some space and some sexy times. So frustrations might be up high and you might want to communicate. Just consider communicating what you would like. It's not tricky. It just takes courage. And so this week, think about it, just in this week alone, until next show, we've still got another half an hour of this show, but you're going to have half an hour to think about this. And then I encourage you to implement starting tomorrow. Ask your partner for something that you have felt uncomfortable about asking them for, even though it's something you deeply desire. And if that's for them to walk away, then ask for that. It might be hard. And if that's for them to step up to the plate, whatever that means to you, ask for that. And if that means that you get paid for sex, ask for that. Or if it means that, you try something outrageous, like, I don't know, kink in some kind of extreme, and then like you get all kinds of whips and chains and you're tied to a wall and there's like random crazy music going on in the background that reminds you of the 1990s when you dressed up like a vampire and went to goth bars. That could be good too. That was my life. Toronto used to have sex bars in the 90s. That's all I'm saying. All right. Now that's a good break to go on. So we are going to head to the next commercial. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll talk about more fun about relationships when we come back.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. For those of you who are just listening to the commercials, you probably realize that, hey, there's an Inspired Choices Network app. And if you're like lying in bed having a groovy time and you're like having a hard time getting off and all you're thinking about is what could get me off, damn it, put on my show. Just like do it. Put it on. See what happens. I actually had a call this week from somebody who informed me that they did that. So thank you for that from Illinois. And it's thanks. And yeah, so that was shocking and delightful. And what else occurred? Well, what else I want to tell you about is, so we've got that for sure. You can take me anywhere you want. What a great product is that you can just listen to my voice and get yourself off. I think that's beautiful. I often listen to my own voice and get myself off, so I could see why you'd want to. And also, I have access to phenomenal sex toys through Pure Romance. So if that turns you on and you'd like to have a sex toys party with me, connect with me because it's fun. And there's so many new toys that have come out that are just like, poof. You're like, how can they even make a toy that does that? How can you make a toy that sends vibrations through the body? How can you make a toy that not only does it a toy, but it has its own like cleaning station, and you plug it in and it, while it's charging, it actually cleans itself. Brilliant. So many cool toys that have come out in the last year because why? It's COVID and people are getting creative and trying to find ways to take care of things. So connect with me and we could totally have a crazy, crazy sex toys party. So what else do I do is I coach people on their relationships and I work with them in their health. And I do it in so many different ways through movement work, through stuff that I can do online from a distance is a lot of stuff that has to do with coaching. So sex and intimacy coaching, what is that? Well, what it's not is a masturbation coach, which I was asked about, which was sweet. It was a sweet question. But there are people who are masturbation coaches, and I did interview one in the first year of my show. So you can go back, look at the archives in the first 50 shows. You will find an interview that I did with a woman who is a masturbation coach, and I think she was out of Boston. So I'm hoping she's still alive. It was kind of cool. She actually did training in that. I did not do training in masturbation coaching. However, I'm an expert masturbator for myself. That doesn't mean that I'm an expert for everybody else, but I can assist you in becoming an expert in yourself, and I don't even have to watch you. That's kind of cool too. You can totally tap into so many of my shows that have references to those things. And believe it or not, a lot of the things that I talk about on this show are actually coaching related. I know, it's kind of mind boggling, right? You're getting all these free tools. All you got to do is listen and take charge. Take an action. And you know why I'm saying that? Because the next step is initiating. It's all about initiating. And if you actually initiate in your own life, you can have some things show up. And then you can have those successes we've been talking about, initiating. So that's a big one that a lot of people find they're like frustrated with. Men get frustrated with women not initiating. Sometimes women even get frustrated with men not initiating. I know a few. I've been a few. So there is that. There's like, how do you get your partner to initiate? Sometimes it takes a long letter to explain exactly how you feel because your husband can't hear you. So you got to write it in a letter. Sometimes the communication is verbal. Sometimes you got to make a video. It just depends. How does your partner hear you the most? Communicate it that way, the way that they're going to hear you. If they love watching TV a lot, make them a video explaining exactly what you require. Make it sexy so they listen. And then, if they really still don't listen, my mom even once learned a whole other language just to try and communicate with my dad, who just thought it was so cute that she learned a whole other language and didn't actually read the fact that she was complaining in the whole letter. So when you do write one of those, be really clear. This is a complaint letter. Make that really clear at the top if you're writing it in another language. And so they don't think, oh my God, it's so adorable, you learned another language. Then my dad got really weird with that one, and he gave it to all of his relatives for them to read, and they were like, oh my God, she can write in Serbian. And my mom's like, you're not getting it. I'm saying I'm leaving you. What? So it's weird. It's weird when people brag about stuff like that and when they don't really read it, they just get mind boggled by something else. And that's like a weird distraction that happens. So. It is, initiating is one of those things that can take quite a lot of courage, especially if you've been shy and you've had a lot of rejection in your life and you don't know how to deal with rejection. Then initiating can be something that you're really put off by. You're like, I don't want to initiate because every time I do, they say no. And truly, the truly courageous and the true warriors will continue to initiate even when they get rejected. You can think about it from the terms of warfare if you like, because even an army that keeps on going into battle and people die, if they just keep on going, they may at some point actually cross the lines or whatever they're trying to do. It's war. I don't even understand war. But anyways, that is something where usually the diligence, the continuing to initiate on your own, regardless of whether you're going to be rejected or accepted. Take that into all areas of your life, whether it's in your relationship, take it into your work. If you show up every day, that means you're initiating. If you are one of those people who shows up late all the time or really doesn't want to be there and begrudgingly shows up, you're not really an initiator. You're just more like a following things. So if you can get out of the grudge or begrudging energy, and you can move into the initiating energy, feeling that excitement to say, oh, I'd like to try something, then that's awesome. And some ways to actually create initiation is to take turns. You may have to actually write it down and go, this week it's my turn to initiate, next week is your turn to initiate. You can become that clinical about it if you want to. You can write dates down, like this week you initiate, next week I initiate, or this month I initiate, next month you initiate. Then it gets shared. However, that also means that when it's your turn to initiate, you do it. You don't just chicken out because you're like, well, they initiated last month, yes, but the agreement is then you do it this month, right? So when you create these agreements with your lover, it's really important that you follow through, because it develops trust. And if you can develop trust with them, they'll want to be with you. Then they can relax. Then they can be present. I know, it's crazy, but trust is helpful. Follow through on what you've agreed to do. And if you are not a person who does normally initiate and you've agreed to initiate, get creative. So how do you get creative if you don't know how to? I'm going to give you 5 ideas right now so you can write them down. Number 1 is approach your lover out of nowhere and say, would you like a hug? Okay, that's initiating. Number 2 is out of nowhere, approach your lover and ask them, would you like me to give you oral sex? Sweet. Number 3 is out of nowhere, and like these are not planned, these are just 5 ideas you can bring up anytime. You can put them in a hat and pull them out, right? So ask them for a hug, ask them for oral sex. You can ask them if they would like to go on a date with you. So those are pretty easy. And number 4 would be something like, can we have a shower together? Would you like to bathe together? Would you like to have a shower together? Can I soap you up? And maybe number 5 is some kind of sexual activity that's maybe a little different than you've ever tried before. So maybe like, hey, so today, can we do it up against the wall? Or like, hey, maybe today, can we do it from the sex swing that we just installed? Like, hey, how about that? So try something a little different for number 5, because it's something that maybe you've been curious about and you haven't tried. Maybe bring the sex toys in, or different ideas where I've talked about in many different shows about how you can do things like initiate bringing sex toys into your life. So you can go listen to those if you're not really sure how to do that. And any one of those, be willing for your partner to say no right now, not right now, and be willing for your partner to say, yes, please, I'll have that. So either way, be willing to receive their response, yes or no. And in receiving that, they can actually become present with you as well. So for me, in the last few months, my husband knows, because we haven't been going on dates because lockdowns in Ontario were pretty bad until recently. And we just got in the habit of, we have several dates a week where we just get in the car and we drive to Tim Hortons, and then we drive around. We do things like go to the dump together, which is ultra sexy, but we're sitting in the car together for like half an hour talking about things that we never talk about at home. And it seems to be our way to talk and communicate. So when you find that out about your partner, you can welcome that in more. Figure that out and then do it. And then it can become fun. And so now my husband knows, he's like, well, it's like Thursday morning. Do you want to go for a drive? Or Saturday morning? It's almost always guaranteed on a Saturday morning before I have clients or anything. He's like, all right, let's go on our date. I'm like, awesome, we're going on our date. And yes, it could only be like half an hour or an hour. It takes us 20 minutes to get to a Tim Hortons and 20 minutes to get back. So by the time we have our date, it's been an hour. So, and those 1 hours, we can have conversations about so many things that we normally don't have the time to or the privacy to. So they can be great, great gifts. I encourage you to try and find that time no matter where and how you can. So we got one more segment left of this show. I hope you stick around for that. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email. info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. So the last little bit is about how to have foreplay in different ways, or how to know what you like for foreplay and ask for it more often. And we can get stuck in these ruts, especially if we've been in relationships for a while and there doesn't seem to be like the need for foreplay because your bodies are all familiar, and you're like, foreplay is for when you start to learn each other, and then after that you just get rid of foreplay because foreplay is not about relationships. It's really phenomenal to me how many people who have been in long-time relationships they just are like put off by foreplay. Foreplay is like the best. So for guys and girls, foreplay can be an amazing way to connect with your lover, and then to deepen your relationship and have a greater lovership and have more presence. Why? Because you're touching their body, your face might be right in their genitals, you might be kissing them all over. There's things that are going on in massages that have you, the person who's receiving it, their body will become connected more. They'll be more, we'll say, grounded, for lack of a better word. And unless, of course, they're cringing by your touch, and in that case, there's a whole other issue going on. So that needs to be dealt with. So for the most part, if you enjoy your lover, then foreplay is only going to enhance your love life. It's only going to create way more fun for both of you. So ask your lover, what's some of the most fun things we've ever done in the past? Because if it's been a long time since foreplay ever happened, it might have to be referenced that way. And for me, I like to do it like it's nostalgia. Like, honey, remember when you used to have that apartment and I would like show up at your apartment and bring you cash for giving me oral? It was the best ever. Yeah, but I wasn't actually paying him for oral. I was paying him for construction work, but it was so fun to show up at his door where his landlord would see me with a wad of cash in my hand, passing it over to him and saying, I'm ready for you. And then his landlord would be all like, what's happening here? I think for a while the town thought my husband was a gigolo, and that's all good because he'd make a good one. So it was fun, and that can be fun. So every once in a while there's a joke, and right now I got like some money sitting on my side table, and I'm like, hey honey, I got some cash here for you. So you can have fun with that. Like if you have inside jokes like that, you can totally use them in your relationship to receive what you would like. Like, here's the money. Remember that, honey? Remember back in the day when we used to, and this and this. So also letting your lover know that I really love it when you, and whatever you love, because if you're framing it in a way that makes them know you enjoy them, it will actually entice them to keep doing it. And if you do it as a complaint, the chances are they're not going to do it. Just like anything, if you tell a kid, clean your room, it's looking awful, they're not going to do it. But if you say to them, I love how your room looks when you make your bed, it looks so great, you do such a great job, they're like, oh, okay. You get a lot more bees with honey, I think is the saying, and it's true. So give the good stuff and people will be way more happy to oblige. And no, it sounds manipulative, and in some ways it is, but some people actually, you nearly get it. Manipulation can be incredibly fun. If somebody is manipulating you and you feel good and it's not harming anybody and it's consensual, it's all good. If you're being manipulated like mind control, that's a whole other story, and that's not even this show. So we're looking at how you can manipulate for fun, because it can be quite seductive. Like, I really love it when you make me supper or whatever it happens to be. And then, because my favorite was when my husband was like, when we were dating, man, we had a lot of good dating times. And when we were dating, there was a day where I showed up at his apartment and all he was wearing was just a tool belt and cooking me supper. And he had picked out like all of these like different recipes of salads that he was like, these are vegetarian. I'm like, generally salad is until you throw meat in it, which is really cute. But he's like, look, I can make this vegetarian if I take out the bacon. I'm like, I love you. You're insane. So dinner in a tool belt. And I remind him all the time, I'm like, honey, I loved it so much when you made dinner in a tool belt. So we got to get my daughter out of the house so he can get to cooking again, because he's stellar at cooking with a tool belt. Usually she heads out to friends' places after we've had dinner, but yeah, I need to remind that one because that's a good one. So it is good time. So when you know what you like from your lover, tell them. That communication again, right? Tell them what you like. Thank you. That was awesome. I really enjoyed whatever you just did. And just name it. Name it so they're clear on it. I love it when you lick my pussy. Great. That is really clear and communicative, and they know exactly what you're talking about. I love it when you spank my bum. Excellent. Very clear on that, right? So be very clear on what you like. Don't be like, well, I'm not really sure what I like. And if you don't know what you like, go experiment on yourself and check it out. See what your body likes. See what kind of touch you like. Your partner could feel an awful lot of rejection if you're having all the experimentation with them, if you don't know how to communicate well with them. And then all you're like, I don't like that, that's gross. And then your partner will just feel really awful and not really want to initiate or get involved because they feel rejected constantly. And nobody finds rejection. Well, I can't say that. There are people who do find rejection sexy. It's part of a kink, but it's not as common as people who actually don't feel rejection finding it sexy. So there are kinks in everything. So try and reiterate that it's not never, but it is not as frequent. So what do you love? Ask your body. Your body might surprise you too. Be like, body, what would you really like? And say, you know what I really love, honey, is like the feeling of cold on my body. Do you want to like get a popsicle and drip it all over my nipples and then suck it off? Oh yeah. That's just the thought that came to my mind because my body is so freaking hot and horny right now that I'm like, how could I cool off? A popsicle on my nipple would cool me off and it would be delightful. So I would love that. I would love a popsicle on my nipples, just saying. So go think about that, fellow listeners and pleasure seekers. What would your body like? And that's the random stuff bodies will come up with when you ask your body, what would you like? Your body will just like flash you stuff and information and like weird things like popsicles on the nipples for fun. So holy cows, we're coming down to the end of the show today. What? I don't even know what's happening. The world is happening, and I got like 5.5 seconds left to talk to you guys. So I want to thank you for listening for the whole show, because you're amazing. And if you have topics you would like me to talk about, feel free to chime in and let me know. And I'd love to hear your ideas, because it's always fun coming up with my own ideas, but it's always fun having your input. So stay tuned in. And what else, guys? Turned on.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.